The universe never stands still. It flows in cycles, pulses, and shifts, aligning energies that touch every part of our lives. On May 23rd, 2025, one of those shifts arrives with a swift and vibrant energy as Mercury enters Gemini, its home sign, where it feels most alive, articulate, and electric. This transition is more than an astronomical change. It's a cosmic awakening, a signal that fresh mental currents are ready to sweep through your consciousness, revitalizing how you think, how you speak, and how you connect with the world around you. It's as if the universe is flipping a switch, illuminating pathways of thought that may have felt blocked or dormant, now inviting them to awaken and flow with ease. When Mercury moves into Gemini, it brings with it the speed and brilliance of air. Thoughts become lighter, words become sharper, and ideas seem to come from every direction, eager to be heard, explored, and expanded. This isn't just about chatter or surface-level communication. This is the time when your mental agility sharpens, when you are more receptive to learning and more eager to explore diverse perspectives. If you've been trapped in the same loops of thought, stuck repeating internal dialogues that no longer serve you, this is your moment to break free. The cosmic winds are changing, and Mercury in Gemini is here to offer you clarity, variety, and truth in how you think and how you express yourself. There's a playful, youthful quality to this energy, but also depth for those who are willing to engage it fully. The mind becomes more active, and with it, a heightened desire for stimulation, conversation, and intellectual exchange. Questions arise, not because you are uncertain, but because your soul is ready to explore. Curiosity becomes a sacred tool, guiding you toward knowledge that is not only informative, but transformative. This is the moment to ask big questions, not necessarily to find immediate answers, but to open doors you hadn't yet realized were waiting to be unlocked. The universe now speaks in riddles and revelations, and Mercury in Gemini gives you the agility to decode both. Communication takes center stage, and it's not limited to just words. You may feel more inspired to write, speak, share, and connect with others, not for approval, but for the joy of expression itself. Conversations become more than just exchanges of information. They become portals to new perspectives, new relationships, and new understandings of yourself. This is an excellent time for collaboration, for brainstorming, for saying the things you've been holding back. The fog lifts, and what once seemed difficult to articulate now begins to flow with natural ease. If you've had ideas simmering beneath the surface, waiting for the right time to emerge, Mercury's entry into Gemini is the cosmic green light you've been waiting for. Beyond the personal shifts, this transit influences the collective mind as well. Social energy increases, communities become more animated. People seek not just to talk, but to listen, to exchange, to question. The rhythm of daily life begins to accelerate, but not with pressure, with purpose. The world seems to buzz with thoughts, tweets, texts, calls, podcasts, ideas flowing like electricity through an open circuit. And amidst all this noise, there is also the gift of discernment, the ability to tune in, to refine your voice, and to speak only what truly resonates from the heart. This is the time to align your intellect with your intention and to use your voice to uplift, clarify, and inspire. The timing of this shift could not be more perfect. With so many having walked through periods of confusion, delay, or uncertainty, Mercury in Gemini arrives as a breath of fresh air. It's not just about moving fast, it's about moving smart. It's about aligning your thoughts with your values and allowing your mental clarity to guide you toward opportunities, connections, and decisions that truly serve your growth. This energy encourages you to be flexible, to dance with change rather than resist it. Adaptability becomes a strength, and curiosity becomes your compass. You may find that your attention is pulled in many directions, and that's okay. Mercury in Gemini isn't about single-minded focus. It's about exploring possibilities. It's about being willing to try, to test, to communicate without fear of being wrong. Because in this space, even mistakes become stepping stones toward insight. This is a time to embrace the joy of being mentally alive, of learning something new every day, of finding beauty in the power of an idea that challenges what you thought you knew. You're not being asked to know everything. You're being asked to stay open, alert, and willing to learn. There is also a beautiful invitation here to reconnect with others, yes, but also with yourself, with the parts of you that long to be expressed, the thoughts you've silenced, the truths you've been hesitant to share. This is a moment of internal honesty. It is about checking in with your own narrative and making sure the story you are telling aligns with who you are becoming. Mercury in Gemini helps you rewrite the scripts that have been limiting you and gives you the courage to speak from a place of authenticity. You begin to realize that your words hold power, not just to influence others, but to reprogram your own mind and reshape your reality. This energy also sharpens your ability to perceive subtle signs from the universe. Messages, patterns, synchronicities, they all become more noticeable under this transit. You may find that your dreams become more vivid, your intuition more attuned, and your understanding of subtle messages more refined. Mercury in Gemini isn't just about logic, it's also about pattern recognition, about seeing how seemingly unrelated things are connected through meaning, through timing, through energy. This is where thought becomes intuition and insight becomes direction. As the days unfold under this new influence, allow yourself to become an explorer of the mind. Read that book that's been waiting on your shelf. Start that conversation you've been putting off. Write the piece that's been stirring in your soul. Learn something that scares you just a little, and say something that sets you free. Mercury in Gemini isn't asking you to be perfect. It's inviting you to be curious, to stretch your mind, to rediscover the power of language, not just as a tool, but as a form of magic that shapes how you move through the world. As Mercury continues its vibrant journey through Gemini, the atmosphere becomes charged with intellectual electricity. Thoughts race, ideas interconnect, and communication moves from static to symphonic. This is a time when conversations come alive. More than just words exchanged, they become bridges that link minds and hearts. Whether you're sitting across from a friend, typing out a message, or brainstorming in solitude, the flow of thought now holds deeper resonance. The joy of understanding, of being understood, and of understanding others becomes a kind of quiet celebration that carries you through the day. Ideas multiply not only because your mind is sharper, but because the collective mental field is awakening too. You're not working in isolation. Energetically, thoughts travel. Inspiration finds you in unexpected moments. In a podcast, a book, a late-night conversation, even in silence. Mercury in Gemini heightens this receptivity. It makes you more attuned to nuance, to tone, to timing. You begin to notice how your voice lands, how your words echo in the minds of others, and how each interaction is not only a transfer of thought, but a chance to build meaning. This is an ideal time to engage in learning, not just structured education, but curiosity-led exploration. You might feel drawn to take up a new subject, learn a new language, explore different philosophies, or dive into a topic that always intrigued you but never found the right time. Mercury in Gemini is that right time. The mental blocks of previous weeks dissolve into a more flexible, agile mindset. You can think faster, process faster, and retain more. What once felt overwhelming now seems like an adventure. The mind hungers not just for facts, but for understanding. This hunger is sacred. It is the gateway to wisdom. As social dynamics shift under this influence, you may also feel a desire to reconnect with others, not from obligation, but from genuine interest. Conversations you initiate now have the potential to be more meaningful, more engaging. This is not just about talking more, it's about talking better. You begin to notice which voices uplift you and which ones drain you. Mercury in Gemini is a clarifier, separating noise from resonance. It guides you toward relationships where communication flows naturally and where your thoughts are valued and reciprocated. But amid this buzz of mental activity, there's a deeper calling, a call to mindfulness. Mercury's speed can be exhilarating, but it also carries the risk of scattering your attention if not grounded. That's why this transit, despite its outward energy, also invites inward reflection. It asks you to be mindful of how you process the information that constantly surrounds you. Are you consuming with intention or reacting out of habit? Are you speaking to fill space or to create connection? Are your thoughts aligned with your values, your voice with your heart? This is where the true power of Mercury in Gemini reveals itself, not in how fast you can think, but in how clearly you can listen. Real communication is a two-way street, and in a time when everyone is speaking, those who truly listen hold the greatest influence. Listening is no longer passive, it's a conscious act of presence. When you listen, really listen, you not only hear others, but also become more in tune with yourself. The thoughts you hear in others often reflect truths you need to acknowledge in your own life. Mercury's movement through Gemini is also a chance to recalibrate the relationship between intellect and intuition. Often we think of the mind and heart as separate, but during this transit, you're given the gift of blending the two. Logic doesn't have to be cold, and intuition doesn't have to be vague. Together they form a compass that is both accurate and aligned with purpose. You'll find that your best decisions come not just from analysis, but from a felt sense of knowing, when a thought clicks not only in your brain, but settles calmly into your body. In this period, the voice becomes more than sound. It becomes a tool of manifestation. Words carry power. They are spells in the most literal sense. Each one you utter shapes the energy around you. Mercury in Gemini encourages you to become more aware of what you speak into existence. Are you reinforcing old fears or speaking possibilities into life? Are you repeating patterns that no longer serve you or scripting a future you genuinely desire? Now is the time to revise your inner dialogue, to choose words that are not only true, but also empowering. There's also an opportunity here to reassess your digital presence. How are you communicating online? Are you expressing your authentic self or hiding behind filters and trends? Mercury in Gemini sharpens your awareness of your digital voice, asking you to use it with more honesty and intention. This isn't about overexposing yourself, it's about making sure your words reflect your essence. In an age of fast communication, depth stands out. This is your chance to bring more meaning into even the shortest of messages. As the days unfold under this influence, keep your mind open and your heart anchored. Engage with curiosity, but not haste. Let your intellect wander, but return often to your inner center. Mercury in Gemini is the invitation to be both student and teacher, listener and speaker, thinker and dreamer. It doesn't ask you to choose, it asks you to integrate. And in that integration, you'll find not just clarity, but a sense of movement. Not the frantic kind, but the kind that tells you something is shifting, something is waking up, something is ready to be explored. As Mercury finds its rhythm in Gemini, a playful yet profound energy begins to flow through your consciousness, awakening the innate human drive to discover, to question, and to understand. This isn't simply a call to think more. It's a soul-deep invitation to rediscover the joy that comes with learning, with expanding your inner and outer horizons. There's a lightness to this transit, a sense of mental renewal, as though the universe itself is whispering what else is possible. That whisper stirs something inside you, something ancient and childlike. The part of you that used to look at the stars and wonder what they meant, the part that still wants to know how things work and why certain moments feel like déjà vu. This is the energy of curiosity in its purest, most liberating form. The beauty of Mercury in Gemini lies in its ability to break down old mental structures, not with destruction, but with playfulness. Thought patterns that once felt concrete now begin to soften, allowing space for new perspectives to breathe. You may find yourself reconsidering long-held beliefs, not out of confusion, but because something in your mind is shifting, expanding. You're no longer satisfied with one-dimensional answers. Instead, you crave nuance, complexity, depth. The truth doesn't intimidate you now, it intrigues you. You begin to understand that certainty is often an illusion, and that real wisdom is born from being open, not from being right. This openness makes you more receptive to messages that come not just from people, but from the universe itself. Mercury in Gemini sharpens your awareness of synchronicity, of meaning hidden in small things. A conversation overheard in passing might echo exactly what you needed to hear. A book that falls off the shelf could hold the answer to a question you hadn't even consciously asked. Insights arrive when you least expect them, in dreams, in traffic, in the quiet space between breaths. It's as though the cosmos is speaking directly to you, not in grand gestures, but in breadcrumbs, leading you gently toward understanding if you are present enough to follow. Being present becomes a form of magic. As the mind awakens, so does the need for mindfulness, not the still, silent kind, but a dynamic, engaged mindfulness that keeps you connected to the now. You start to notice details you'd previously ignored, the inflection in someone's voice, the rhythm of your own breath, the flicker of doubt or excitement that passes through your thoughts before a decision. This level of awareness isn't overwhelming, it's empowering. It makes life feel more vivid, more textured, as if you are finally seeing the full color spectrum of your reality, instead of just black and white. In this state, asking questions becomes not just natural but necessary. You find yourself more curious about others, more interested in how they see the world. The divide between perspectives begins to dissolve, replaced by a desire to understand, not to argue. You're no longer trying to convince, you're trying to connect. There's an elegant intelligence in that, one that transcends debate and leads instead to mutual respect and shared learning. Your curiosity becomes a bridge, and every time you ask a question from a place of genuine interest, you reinforce that bridge, not just between minds, but between souls. Sharing what you know becomes equally important. There's a generosity that flows with Mercury in Gemini, an urge to pass on what you've learned, not to show off, but to contribute. Whether it's through a conversation, a social post, a handwritten note, or a quiet moment of advice offered to a friend, your words now carry more weight. They become vessels of light, capable of sparking clarity in someone else's darkness. This doesn't require expertise. It only requires presence. The insights you've gathered through your own journey become tools of healing and transformation for others as much as for yourself. But remember, this isn't about rushing to know everything. It's about enjoying the process of discovery. Mercury in Gemini doesn't reward perfection, it celebrates exploration. It teaches you that changing your mind is not weakness, but growth. It reminds you that every answer leads to more questions, and that this infinite chain of curiosity is not a loop, it's a spiral drawing you upward into greater understanding. This energy teaches humility too, the kind that comes from realizing that no matter how much you know, there is always more to learn. And within that humility, you find peace. The childlike energy of this transit invites play, not just in how you think, but in how you live. You might feel more drawn to humor, to storytelling, to wordplay, Laughter becomes a release, a recalibration of your nervous system. Mercury in Gemini helps you lighten the load, not by ignoring the world's problems, but by shifting how you engage with them. It says, what if you looked at this differently? What if the heaviness you're carrying is not a truth, but a perspective? That shift alone can begin to change everything. Even your environment starts to reflect this energy. You may feel compelled to reorganize your space, to bring in fresh inspiration, to declutter your mental and physical surroundings. It's not about aesthetics. It's about creating a setting that matches your mental frequency. Surround yourself with what stimulates your thinking, what sparks creativity, what reminds you of possibility. Mercury in Gemini thrives in environments that are alive with color, sound, and motion. Let your space mirror your mind, open, fluid, and filled with wonder. This is a moment to reintroduce yourself to the world, not by reinventing who you are, but by remembering who you've always been. The version of you that loved to learn, to ask questions, to wonder, before life made you feel like you needed to have all the answers. That version still lives inside you, and Mercury in Gemini is here to bring it back to life. You don't have to force anything. You only have to say yes to the invitation the universe is placing in front of you, to listen more deeply, to speak more honestly, and to think more freely. While this transit may not carry the dramatic intensity of an eclipse or the introspective weight of a retrograde, its influence should not be underestimated. Mercury's entrance into Gemini is like a fresh breeze sweeping through the corridors of the mind, gently urging us to dust off outdated beliefs and open the windows to new understanding. It's a subtle but deeply meaningful shift, one that moves quietly but leaves profound echoes. This is not a time for crisis, but for clarity. Not a storm, but a realignment of perception. It is the kind of change that works through awareness, through the invisible but powerful recalibration of how we think, speak, and connect. Communication becomes more than a means to an end. It becomes the foundation upon which our realities are built. Every sentence you utter, every idea you explore, every question you dare to ask, ripples out into the world and shapes the way you relate to others and to yourself. When Mercury is in Gemini, language becomes sacred, not in a rigid or formal way, but in a fluid, alive sense. Words carry resonance, thoughts carry vibration, and your voice, when aligned with intention and truth, becomes a tool of transformation, not just for others, but for you. This is your opportunity to use your words not to mask or defend, but to reveal and connect. Now is the time to refine your expression, to be honest with yourself about what needs to be said and equally honest about what needs to be heard. There is a tremendous gift in clarity, in choosing to speak with sincerity rather than performance. Mercury in Gemini doesn't reward cleverness without substance. It favors those who are brave enough to communicate what matters, even when it's vulnerable, even when it challenges the norm. This is how you deepen relationships, build trust, and find true resonance with the people who are meant to be in your orbit. And just as importantly, this transit enhances your internal dialogue, the voice you use when no one else is listening. That voice sets the tone for your entire life. When it becomes kinder, more curious, more forgiving, everything changes. The outer world begins to reflect the inner shift. That's the magic of Mercury in Gemini. It doesn't require massive external upheaval. Instead, it invites you to fine-tune your awareness, to sharpen the lens through which you interpret experience, and to align your inner and outer communication. It invites you to be both speaker and listener, both teacher and student, both explorer and guide. In the coming days, this mental clarity will present you with choices, some small, some life-shaping. Conversations will carry more weight, not because of their volume, but because of the truth behind them. Insights will appear in unexpected places. You may find yourself reading something that changes your perspective entirely. Or perhaps someone says a sentence that stays with you for hours, unlocking a door in your consciousness that you didn't even know existed. This is not coincidence. It is the universe working through the language of thought, showing you that your mind, when aligned with truth, becomes a vessel for awakening. Let your curiosity be your compass. Let questions lead you, not into confusion, but into deeper wisdom. Let ideas flow without judgment. Write them down, speak them out. Share them with people who honor your voice. You are not meant to keep your brilliance hidden. This is a time to communicate with purpose, with heart, and with presence. Let every word be chosen not out of fear, but from a place of empowered clarity. And when in doubt, return to silence. For in that silence, Mercury also speaks, through intuition, through inspiration, through the quiet knowing that lives beneath all the noise. Engage in conversations that stretch your thinking and elevate your spirit. Seek out dialogue that leaves you changed, that lingers in your awareness long after the words have ended. This is a time to grow not just intellectually, but emotionally and spiritually, through the act of sincere exchange. This is a time to remember that communication is not about being heard. It's about creating understanding, building bridges, and co-creating meaning. Each interaction holds that potential. Each exchange is a chance to meet the divine in another human being. So let your mind wander freely, but bring back insights that serve your highest good. Let your thoughts dance with wonder, but anchor them in integrity. Let your voice be a mirror of your soul, unafraid to be seen, unafraid to question, unafraid to grow. The energy now is not about standing still. It's about moving forward with clarity and intention. It's about honoring the truth that lives in your thoughts, your words, your curiosity. And most of all, it's about remembering that your voice matters, not just to the world, but to your own unfolding path. This is a moment to celebrate the power of your thoughts and words. It's a moment to align your mind with your spirit and allow the synergy of both to carry you into deeper awareness, richer connection, and lasting growth. Mercury in Gemini is not loud, but it is clear. And in that clarity lies your next chapter. One that you get to write, word by word, thought by thought, truth by truth.